This conference will now be recorded.
The longest minute.
I got 6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any amendments to the agenda, so just need approval of the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Review the minutes from October 21st, regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 21st meeting minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
No, whoa. Yeah, you weren't hearing. Was it just you?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
Yeah, so it's not 5.
4-0.
4-1-0. Right, or four, however you do it.
401.
4-0-1. Sorry, just catch. Thank you. Accounts payable. Zero.
I talked with Kim and looked it over and there was really nothing of note. So I will make a motion to approve the accounts payable if no one has any questions for $34,757.29.
Seriously, mine were like 300,000 last week.
Nothing,
Nada.
nothing on here.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Public comments. Open the public comments portion. Individuals may address the city council about any item of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comments? I will close the public comment portion. We'll jump to 8A, DFA construction update. Before I hand it over to Terry, I just wanted to note that Mike Olson and I went and visited the plant on Tuesday, I believe. I think we were out there about 2.5 hours. I want to thank Terry, and I believe Bill was out there, and there was a slew of other ones. So I want to appreciate your time and the tour of the DFA. So it's all yours, Terry.
I want to point out that you do arrive at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, we left just shortly at 9, so it was a good tour of the old and the new, so very impressive.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Brian, thank you, council members. And my name is Terry Johnson. I am the plant manager at the DFA plant here in Zumbrota. And I wanted to come and just give an update on where we are in our construction, or actually what it consists of, for that matter, share a few things with you. I think it was over this time, about a year ago, I started meeting regularly with Brian and Mike every couple of weeks to keep dialogue going about what's been going on our project, and we talk about any of the other issues or whatever else is going on. So it's been a good relation, I think a good relationship. I think communication's key to anything. So I've been with DFA since January 20th of 2020. So I was new to DFA. I've been in the food industry for 30 years, about 24 years with Nestle in 5 different states. And now here I am in Zumbrota. I grew up in Western Wisconsin. That's why I wear the green jacket. Now, if I grew up in this part of the state, I would be wearing a purple jacket, of course. So just want to give you an update. It's what we call our cheese dryer replacement. Just want a couple of topics so we'll cover is original site and future plan, the scope of the project, community impact, odor control solutions, wastewater plant, our office space and process and dryer tower, and just where we are in our timeline. So this is you look at, this is what we started with. We had this rendering when we were proposing this project. I remember when I joined the company, I actually went for a review of this in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin before I started, and this is the first thing I saw of it. So that right here is the new office building. If you drive by there now, it's the front is not quite the same as this original drawing. We made some changes when COVID started. We had to change the design to make it better. You know, we came up with all these ideas where you eliminate touch points. So when you go through the office building we've eliminated a lot of doors as a result. So that's why that changed. The dryer tower, you can see that when you drive by. You can't see the wastewater treatment plant out here onto the southwest corner. So, and then ended up, if you went around there, we had construction going around the entire site. This whole front was dug up, the back side too. So I've never been on a lot of these projects, but it never surrounded the whole site. So it's been quite an undertaking. Scope of our project, we building a new cheese dryer to replace the one that's 50 years old. It'll run at a higher rate and give us about 30% more capacity. The tower is about 118 feet tall. We've installed some 20,000 gallon liquid ingredient silos. We have a dual feed system in our dryer. That's part of where we're getting that capacity. Normally you shut down your wet process at a certain time frame, and then while you're doing that, you're not spray drying. Now we just switch over and we dry continuously. We're putting in a new wet blending system with fermentation tank capacity, so that'll offer different types of products that we can make here. We've upgraded our cheese weigh handling facility. For all these years, they've been loading these tankers outside. You don't normally see it because it's on towards 52, but now that's all done inside. Wastewater treatment plant, so we've gone from basically a pre-treatment to a full treatment. We put an automated robotic palletizing system where we're stacking 50-pound bags by hand now, and this will all be done by a robot. Put in a state-of-the-art air quality system to meet enhanced odor and particulate requirements. We're doing utility upgrades, expanding the warehouse where we finish our cheese. We've upgraded our quality, and we will be upgrading the quality and sensory labs, bring it from the 70s to what you really need today. So that's a big change as well. And the office and employee welfare center addition. Looking at community impact, we're investing $87 million in this site. So it's our commitment for the next 30 years to this area. That's the way we're projecting the life of at least a dryer anyway. I don't think dryers are supposed to last 50 years, but you never know. This one did. And this will secure long-term employment for those 34 employees who were operating this old dryer. Plus it's adding a few more headcount as well. And we're going to improve the odor and emissions control, and I'll get into more of that and show you what exactly that is. Reduce the load to the city treatment plant with an improved pre-treatment, improved from a pre-treatment process to state-of-the-art treatment plant. And through this whole cycle, we've been averaging about 125 contractors working on the site over the last 18 months. And I'm happy to see we've really encouraged spend your money in town here. And the contractors are doing it. They're going out to the restaurants, they're going to the stores, they're buying stuff here. And a lot of these contractors were through the different contractors, they're getting the people, resourcing them locally. I know the guy who operating our big crane was from Zumbrota. The project contracted with 32 vendors with offices within 75 miles of the plant. And just a list of a lot of those contractors. One of the very first ones to be on site was Schumacher Excavating, and they'll probably be the last one to leave. So building the new dryer tower, so I like this picture. It shows the big crane that was kind of part of our landscape for a long time. This picture here is actually, if you go to Google Maps, this is what it looks like. So this is where we were when Google Maps scanned that picture. And what I really want to show here is we're building the tower and we're installing equipment all at the same time. When you have stuff this big, you can't build the house and then put the furniture in. You build, put a little furniture in, build, put a little more furniture in. I want to talk about our air quality improvements. We've installed high efficiency cyclones. They're claimed to be 99.5%. And what that means is as the air exhausts off the dryer, you get to capture all 99.5% of the powder. If you don't have high efficiency cyclones, more powder can go right out the exhaust. We're installing a wet scrubber, something we do not have today. And we've installed a deodorizing column, another thing we do not have today. You know, I'm aware when we dry certain products that it does put a certain odor in the air. And currently what we do is we inject basically an air freshener into the exhaust, and that only slightly masks it. This will eliminate the odor. And then the wastewater treatment plant, with this type of system, we're going from a chemical system to a biological system. We think that'll greatly improve air in the area as well. This air quality system, I'll try and watch my picture so I can get my cursor right. This big box here is actually something that's a desiccant system. So all the air that comes in, it's being dried out. So we're, like right now, the biggest trouble with spray drying in July and August is it's so humid. So a lot of water in the air. This type of system makes it consistent year round. So it makes it easier drying and helps with our capacity. So this air goes into the top of the dryer, and then there's spray nozzles up there. So that hot air and the product coming together, that's where the powder starts to form. These ducts that you see here go to these cyclones, these high efficiency cyclones that separates any powder that comes out with the exhaust. It separates and then it continues out. So we have 3 different cyclones. Now what we did in the past is come off this last cycle and go right to this exhaust fan here. So if there was any powder in there, it would blow out the exhaust stack, any residual powder. Now it goes down this tube, and this is a wet scrubber right here. So that air is passing through a stream of water essentially, and that'll capture powder that would be in the air. It then goes up this column. This column is the deodorizer. So we have done a lot of research on this and come up with, there's water moving with like a caustic solution in there that cleans that air out. And then by the time it gets to the exit of this column, it's going to the exhaust fan, and you have clean air and deodorized air coming out of the dryer. So that investment there was actually another $1 million to put in. So I was happy to see DFA do that, thinking about the community. So that's one thing we're pretty proud of. And this picture on the other side is just showing when the crane was lowering this in. I was amazed how straight that thing just dropped right down, and the holes that were in the flooring there wasn't a lot of room to spare. So the operator did a really good job. Of course, the wind was not blowing that day either. So this shows the high efficiency cyclones installed. This is what they look like today. Inside, there's that wet scrubber on there, and then that part of the column for the deodorizer here. Our wastewater treatment plant is, we're currently working on the commissioning of that. We brought in some seeding for the biomass, and we're in the process is developing that biomass right now. Here you can see the building for the wastewater treatment plant. These tanks here, we have a calamity tank, and this middle tank is where all that biological activity gets started, and the bigger tank is where we're injecting air into it, which helps further that process. And this is what the aeration tank looks like when you look inside of it. It's just, we have huge compressors which are blowing air into that and creating that bubbling solution. Inside of the plant, we do these huge compressors. We also have the walls insulated to contain the sound as well. So this is the inside of the treatment plant. There's a line coming to the plant which feeds a pump here, which is gravity fed here, and it pumps it through the system here, goes through here into this, through here. These filters right here are basically like an RO system, filters out any solids, and then goes to this belt press table. So all these solids then get put into a container, and this sludge would then go to a landfill. And any of the water is going, now the clean water is what we send to the city waste treatment system. This calamity tank is if we have, our system is down, we can fill that up. It's also has a deodorizer column on it. There's a front of our office building that's coming together nicely. I'm actually going to put carpeting down next week, so we hope to get into there by the first week in December. One thing I want to point out is this room here is our conference room, and on it, it has a kitchen. The kitchen is set up there so we can bring customers in and show them what they can do with our product. And it's mainly what comes off the spray dryer. And here's getting a look at some of the equipment on the inside. These are the mixers, which would be mixing up the slurry, which we would then send up to the top of the spray dryer. Here's all the different nozzles, far different than what our dryer looks like today. And there's the fluid bed. That's where after it comes out of the dryer, goes through there, we have to cool it down. Otherwise it would just turn into a solid mass. Some more of the equipment. This is our bagger. Very different than, Todd, you can attest to this. Our little packaging room looks like a closet. This is probably 10 times the size with the addition of this robot. The first pallet, this additional storage we had for finishing our product that we added. Also, our location helped eliminate forklift traffic and people traffic. Our design was about safety as well. We did a lot of measures to get the people and forklifts away from each other. This is the way loadout. This picture on the left is the old way we did it. You backed it in those bays outside. Here it looks like a nice day, but when it's cold here in Minnesota, it's not so fun being out there. Now it's a nice system on the inside, including where instead of wrestling these hoses, they get to just swing this over and hook it up. So it's a much more safer system for the operator. And finally, here's kind of what our milestones along the way have been. See, we're all checked off until we get down here. We're at the wastewater plant commissioning, which is what we're doing right now. Coming up in the month of December, we'll start commissioning our dryer. It'll be the first powder. This won't be saleable powder. we'll be running this through to dial in how we operate the system. We're projecting to produce our first saleable product in the middle of January. And so from January through March and probably a little beyond, we'll do our customer validations. Even though we make it today, we have to validate it on the new equipment to get their approvals. So we can have to have their sign off saying, yes, you can make it on that dryer. And we will, all this will be finished up with commissioning and everything that we have to do by July. And we're projecting that could be sooner. So that's where we are with our project.
Thanks, Terry. Any questions for Terry?
Terry, I was just wondering, are there extra jobs being created by all these?
Well, most of the project was to secure the jobs that we had on the spray dryer. Otherwise, that was going to go away because this dryer is not going to last. We're really working hard just to get it through the end of this project. It's 50 years old. But through it, we've identified it. We probably created another 8 to 10 jobs as a result.
Awesome. I'm just glad to see it coming together.
Thanks for your time, Terry. Good presentation, and I appreciate the tour. It was interesting.
And I would extend that tour to anyone on the city council. Just go through Brian. He knows how to get a hold of me.
Sounds good.
I won't be there.
Be in there for the fire
No, I'm
thing
not
anyway.
coming at 6:30 either.
Up there all day.
Terry, they're firemen, so they can carry those hoses all the way up that tower.
All right. I know we do want to get the fire department in there too, just to be familiar with the site. So that opportunity, and the police department for that matter.
Absolutely.
Those opportunities will be coming up soon. All right, perfect. Do I have to do anything to get off this, or it's you guys do?
Close out and should be. We should just go away.
What?
Take your jacket with you. No, I'm kidding.
All
Thanks for
right,
coming, Terry.
Thank you.
8B, delinquent bills to be certified to 2022 taxes. Kim?
This is a yearly process we do every year. We basically go through and take all the 90-day-old bills. We put them on this list and we send them a letter, and we send the landlords that we know of a letter saying they have delinquent property. Give them until the end of November to pay it, and if it's not paid, then we certify it to taxes. So this list will change. It's already changed since I printed it, and we will reflect those changes going forth. But we need to do this every year to get those bills caught up.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Kim. 8C, sewer rate study summary. I think it's Brian/Bill.
Yep, I'll start and then Bill can bail me out because I have technical knowledge on these things. So, yeah, we've been working with Ellers to look at sewer rates. We look at those periodically as we're redoing the dairy farmers DFA's contract for their waste, accepting their waste. Their waste is going to be somewhat different now in that they're going to send us pretty clean water rather than industrial waste, which changes some fee structure. So we had to account for that. And of course, it's an enterprise fund, so it needs to pay for itself. And so that's kind of the high level of what goes into how they come up with these numbers. And Bill might have some more comments on that.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing to add is, to get out in front of this for DFA's contract for next year. So we took the results of this study and we did incorporate the results into their contracts. So the council, you guys did approve that here, about 2 months ago or so. You'll notice there's some projected rate increases in there, and you'll notice that DFA is having a large increase, primarily because, we're losing that revenue from DFA, but then that gets redistributed. We still got to pay the same sewer bills, and since they're our largest user, they get the largest increase. So as Brian mentioned, representative from Ellers will be here at the next council meeting, but wanted to get this in front of you ahead of time, just because you're going to get thrown a lot of numbers in 2 weeks, but this is to give you a little bit of a preview.
Yep, so just information now, and then we'll have Ellers in at the next meeting to do the full presentation and explain everything.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill and Brian. 8D, lawn sprinkler irrigation program. Mike?
Yes, we've been working on an ordinance, working towards the backflow prevention, and we pulled a model off from the League of Minnesota City site. Something I wanted to get in front of you so you can take a look at it, and we're going to keep working on this, and actually it'll be a program implemented with the ordinance as we move through it. Just a couple highlights on the ordinance that we're looking at. Purpose of the ordinance is carry out requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Minnesota Department of Health, protect the municipal potable water system, promote the elimination or control of existing cross connections, and to provide for the maintenance of a continued program of cross connection control. As we've been going along, we've been getting a lot more, obviously we get a lot more sprinkler systems, and we just have no way. This has been kind of going on for a while. I started working on this ordinance last year, but we have no way of being able to keep track of them. And they're required to test these backflow preventers in these houses every year. So once we get a system in place, the other component of this is going to be to have a device be able to set up and get these people to record their test when they're done, and so we can keep track of it. Right now, the industrial parks all for their sprinkler lines inside the buildings, including City Hall, library, the fire department, they all get tested and they get turned into me now, but it's the residential ones and the sprinkler lawn irrigation ones that we're kind of having trouble keeping track of. So it's a process, and it'll be a big process just to keep track of it as we move through. But just wanted to get this in front of you for now to take a look at it. And if you have any questions or things you would like to see added to it or not. I know Kim had said that we're looking at adding that second meter to this ordinance so that it just becomes mandatory that when you get a sprinkler line in your house that you get that second meter added to that. I think we should look at that too. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike.
A couple things. The reason we're calling this a program is because there's another component that goes to it. There's a right-of-way permit that's required. A licensed plumber isn't required to install these backflow preventers. There's a number of things, since we're involving our building inspectors as well as we move forward with this. And what you'll see coming back is the program and the ordinance. I sent you that League of Minnesota Cities model ordinance a little late after the first packet went out. And we'll follow that. We're going to try and follow the model since it's well written, and we're just going to put our information in there. But so that's kind of where we're at and what we're planning. And it was just information and any questions. Otherwise, we're going to proceed with that, and we'll bring it back when it's ready to go. And Mike's doing a nice job pulling all that together. It's a big job. It's a lot of stuff. So.
And this is a mandate that we have to do.
Yep, these things are mandated. You know, if, from what I know of building codes and the, yeah, that you know, they can come through and do an audit of our bookkeeping and see if we have records of these backflow preventers at some point. They don't much anymore. They don't go through, you know, especially with COVID. But if it ever happens again, we want to have those documented, that we're doing what we're supposed to do with that. So.
And do you recommend that full permit for that? And then we'll just ensure that going forward, we have an annual audit of their system.
So that was part of when we talked with Roger Paul. There'll be an actual permit to pull for sprinkler systems now, which will be a change from what they do now. But a lot of that will be incorporated into that permit with that.
Yeah, it'll all be one permit, and whether it's a contractor or a homeowner. Yep.
Thank you.
8E, CETA 2022 contract. Brian?
Yes, we renew our CETA contract every year, and we've had a great relationship with CETA. They do a nice job for us. Dylan's been wonderful, really digging in and taking the reins on a lot of things. And so this is the 2022 contract. It's exactly the same wording as the 2020 and 2019, other than the 3% increase, which is consistent with what we had done across the board. So just looking for motion and approval to go ahead and sign the contract.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 8F, Fire Board budget update. Tina?
Sure. So more discussion to come probably in the next council meeting. I was out of town for a week and Kim was out of town for the week prior to that. So she's not fully aware of the discussions she might be that were had at that fire board meeting, but certainly looking for an increase in funding to their budget. There's items that need to be maintenance-wise continue to be funded. Whether dollars can come out of the American Rescue Plan to help with some of that is still unknown, along with the radios, which are a significant cost to most departments, including the police departments across the county. So that's something that they're looking to replace. So I haven't had a chance to get together with Kim. I just got back from Texas last night. So I think we'll probably bring that to the next council meeting of what that proposal looks like and what that would do to our budget. Does that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions for Tina on the fire budget? Thanks, Tina. Reports. Brian?
Yes, and Larry's going to talk more about this in a little bit, but I'm excited to say that we should have recycling back in town. If it's not there yet, it'll probably be there tomorrow. We'll let Larry elaborate on that when he's going to talk a little bit. Sanitary district update. We have a 10-minute time slot in Austin at Riverland Community College next Tuesday night evening to present our sanitary district to 23 legislators who make up the House Bonding Committee. So Elizabeth Howard, administrator from Pine Island, Michael Bolton, administrator from Winnemingo, and myself are going to do the speaking. And then we're going to have Brandon from WHKS there to help us answer any technical questions that may come up. So that's our first little presentation. It's going to be a long drive for a little time, but we're thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to all of them. So hopefully that goes well. Rescue Plan Act, we've got another meeting this evening, right after this. And we're going to review a draft application that I put together. Our last committee meeting, what came out of that was, well, let's have an application, a formal application, so everybody can fill that out, and then we can consider requests as we get them. So we'll review that application and talk a little bit more about categories of spending and try and wrap our heads around where it can be spent, whether it's fire or whatever it might be. A little more brainstorming on that, but that's moving along. Last thing I had is we'd like to take that big pine tree down out by the police department. Nothing slated out for out there other than an ornamental tree, but it's so big and overgrown, and the sight lines back there are terrible, and lighting. And so unless somebody's really in love with that tree, we'd like to have Larry take it down. Oh, yeah, we'll just move it out here.
There you go, Larry, in your spare time.
Decorated ceremony. Oh, that'd be cool. Great.
Larry, you sing jingle bells for us?
All in favor?
That's it for me.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. You want to go ahead, Larry?
Sure. Mine's kind of a 2 or 3 part deal. I want to show you that Mike's been very passionate about this, and we've had a lot of water main breaks, and I never, you folks, you don't have to come to them, but I just want you to understand what we're dealing with. This is off 6th Street. The whole thing is running on. This is what. I bought a water break, it's all sanitized. Just so you see what you're dealing with. We got that on 6th Street, all around Pleasant, same size pipe. This here had 5 breaks, then a block and a half.
Is it because it's so old or is
It's
it
old.
the
It's old.
material?
No, it's just our soil somewhat here seems to rot our cast iron pipes. And we're dealing with this and our breaks up on the Pleasant and we had 2 1 year, just almost the same hole. I mean, so that's the kind of stuff.
So
So,
do we replace with the,
ductile iron nowadays, or plastic.
okay, so that it doesn't violate.
Like that,
Maybe those will tell you today.
Maybe
well. Yeah.
But that's what we got. So his passion is to be part of it. I just thought I'd bring you down a piece.
Next time, show it out.
The second part now, okay. This way. Our parking lots, the big parking lot here, the secure store. We got one in the back behind the lockers, a lot back there, and we got one up behind Busby's up there. Okay, we never have an opportunity to go under with sweeper and sweeping because there's always vehicle there. You know, and it's been an issue and I know it's been talked about before. And I just want to throw something out to you folks that maybe something worth trying is that, and this is a year-round thing, because summertime I can't sweep it, wintertime I can't get all the snow out. I mean, because there's cars here and there, and it's tough for the guys to get in and out of there. If you could possibly look at something like on, this is for instance, if every Tuesday, that lot there was shut down and you pick the hours, maybe 2 hours, sweeper in and out, but it's plow in there, plow it, clean it up, or to stripe it, or to seal coat, that'd be a good idea, well, different thing, we shut it down for a day or so, for seal coating, and then Wednesday, you would maybe go to that lot back here, behind the lockers, and Thursday up there, so they'd only be 2 hours, people would have to park on the street, or find a different place to park for those 2 hours, but it would give us an opportunity for that 2 hours on this lot to get it cleaned up the way it should be, or swept the way it should be, you know, we got, there's been a bunch of bottles and stuff, and then they have them flying underneath the vehicle. It's a mess, and if you look at the dirt, I talked to Ronnie, and he said all his years, and he's been here for 25 years, they've never swept it. And swept that lot, or cleaned properly with snow. So it's something you'd have to make an ordinance on to change this, and then we put a sign in front of each parking lot that this is closed down these 2 hours, or they would be ticketed. It would be a little tough first to get it going, but it'd be a way to open it up for us for just a couple hours.
So is there an opportunity to do that a couple times a year? Versus-
I would like it done, if you could do it every week.
I would say that.
I'd clean, that way even if the snow came on Sunday, I wouldn't get to clean this until Tuesday fully. But the same in the summertime, when the guys are out down sweeping, they sweep downtown every night, a week. They would just go through and hit that lot or get that lot later in the morning or whatever, just keep things up a little bit more than we are, because the lots are terrible. And what happens is when you have blacktop and you don't take care of a property properly or clean it, all the sand that's on there eats your blacktop right up. And the lot back there is totally pretty well destroyed already, because it was never taken care of. Seal coat them just like we do our streets. So it's something for you to look at or discuss, but it'd be nice if we get something initiated so we can take care of the problem.
I think I would look at maybe once a month, something that's never been done in 25 years. As a place to start, and then we don't necessarily.
We can start once a month and then.
Right, we don't necessarily. I mean, you know, the public works.
I'll make signs.
But that, they go to Broncos all the time, they just can't park here from this time to this time, and your car's there, and then they get some tickets and some tows. So, I mean, I think that's certainly a doable option.
A month, once a month would help me, but the snow in the winter time,
We had a lot of these discussions and just not quite sure the most effective way to do it, the best way to not inconvenience too many people, because they have to park in those lots when it snows to get out the roads. But at some point after that, they need to get out of those lots so we can, so maybe it's part of the winter ordinance for that. But sweeping, yeah, I could see that. Right, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we
that's
just, I
true.
think we'd have a day that we can get in there.
To get in there and clear it.
Get in there, clean it up properly. And then it's maybe good for another week or so.
So maybe something could be talked through a little more. That meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And Larry just wanted to bring it here to talk to all of you just to get the, and so give us comments back as you think of them too. And, you know,
Okay,
Brainstorm.
then-
I have a question along those lines. Have we talked to you first to get the cars on?
yeah, has there been many in there? I'm always told,
Cars out? Can we
I'm
give them a
always
ticket to
told
tow
there's
their own
only
cars
one
out?
or,
How does that work?
They didn't find places in their own vehicle.
They're still there, so, you know, there's like 5, 6 cars that all of a sudden.
ask about
We
it.
need a tow
There's just
truck
one
for
or
your
two
5
and yep,
cars?
we're getting them out of there.
Yeah, no, that's just a bald faced lie. Yeah. Just saying.
Yay, more
We should never overdone that.
The plow?
No, it's
Oh.
not. You just gotta wait.
The recycling.
This year, no recycling.
Ooh.
Lighting depends on what goes out.
Beautiful, Larry.
Is it electric?
No, it's not. Actually, if you go down and look at it.
Don't give me any ideas.
All like 60 inches high, and then there's 2 lines of barbed wire on top of that. Just,
Did we put electric up there?
we shouldn't have to, because if anybody wants to break into it, they can walk.
Through the gate.
Around it.
You should go through the trail.
Too lazy to get in around the outside. But the police,
Deter it.
the police department would be asked to close the gates at, that's to be determined whatever time you want, or on the dark, or you want it at 10 o'clock, set up the timeline.
Usually they're locking things at 10, I think, right?
No, I-
Or you could sell them right now.
I insinuate that we're gonna take care of it.
I love it.
That looks nice.
Good job.
And,
Great.
but they went out really good. We drilled down, we got down a little better than 2 feet on all the holes. And then we got concrete and there's 6 by 6 feet, 6 by 6 is in there. So it
Awesome.
turned out to be an awesome fence. We came, price wise, we came in at, this is as close as I can come on this, $2,150 to put the fence up. It was about 4,000 under what we had estimated for a company to come in and do it for us. So we're not a fence builder, just so you know.
And this was the first step to get the recycling back. They said they would bring them back if we got the fence in the gate and we were going to do the cameras as we can.
That's the only way to let us do it.
Right on that pole.
There's a light out in the corner, a little ways out now from there, but yes, there's a light there and then there'll be a camera in the side so we can capture license plates. So yeah, great job and it was quick. Talked about it
Here's the light.
a couple of days and all of a sudden it was done.
It went way better than I thought it was going to. Yeah, I talked to some of the folks, not all the folks, but we got no
Been squatting here for weeks.
we had a wife up in Alexandria for, well, let's go for a ride on a deal. But yeah, and we've seen this at the city of Alexandria, they had the same type of thing. And I talked to Tina and Ron and Ryan, and asked if we could go forward or something like this. I called them all, the boy picked it up, I bought it on fine, and then we had that, it was really, we've got, if you go out and look at it, it looks better in person than it does here. I've got total with everything, I got $1,350.
Well, that would be all, that
$1,350. Right?
would be all in logo.
But,
Super.
so no, I don't have something, people said, where we're the city shop, and we go to the city shop, and we told by DFA, and now you've got something.
How do you transplant a giant pine tree right behind it?
Yeah. There you go.
Very cool.
Anyhow, you'll have this forever, maybe get it repainted every 20 years or something, a new decal. The guys were, Ronnie and Chris and Paul and Jeff, they did the concrete work and they helped on fencing. Everybody pitched in and everything went off, couldn't have been any better.
That's awesome.
So, everything, it was a good week this week getting everything done. Down Falls there, Dave, did the details, everything.
That's great.
So, and I've had a lot of compliments on already, nobody's even been there. So it went over really, it's going over real good, so.
That's great.
Very active.
I think we should put it on a Facebook page.
Well, you should go take a, get a chance to take a drive out and see Ocean Arctic. It's impressive. But they're impressed, like, holy cow, that's cool. Then the wife made me go back and take a picture of it. Huh?
It's great.
Huge, it's huge.
We need to put somebody in the picture for scale.
Meet our public works department.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll be in the picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have a lot of a nice signage. Thing is what it turned out to be for the public works building. That's all I got.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for all your work. Thanks, Mike.
Thank your guys, too, 'cause them guys did a heck of a, everybody pitched in, they all came out and did their part.
And this is what these guys do a lot, you know, things would cost a lot more money if we didn't have these guys with all their expertise doing this stuff for us. They are very multi-talented.
Perfect. Thanks, Larry.
Good job, Larry. Thank you.
Chief?
Pass on, the SUV that we approved to sell last council meeting sold for $1,660, which is pretty good for a clunker. So, but it's, I mean, if you've tried to buy a used car anytime in the past 5-6 months, that's doing well. So, and I attended the ETI conference just this past Sunday through yesterday, which is the Chiefs Conference. A lot of great discussion. Most of it focused on like wellness, as well as the evolving times in our field and some of the different things they're thinking of, ideas and so forth. So very beneficial conference this year, and looking forward to the next one. Other than that, I've got nothing to pass on.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Bill, you have anything?
Just real quick, Jefferson Drive, you know, design is still continuing. So we had our, I got this one here, thanks. We had our public meeting about a month and a half ago with the residents. So really our focus since then has been meeting with all the businesses. So absent of one rogue business, no, just kidding. I think Bob's the only person we haven't met with, but he's coming to all these meetings. He should know what's going on. But we met with all the other businesses. And yeah, we met with Quick Trip virtually, and we got another one next week with them. So otherwise, pretty much what we call the alignment, you know, where the road's going to be, where the sidewalks are going to be. We figured that out. So now we're sharing that with the businesses, making the adjustments, and then we'll continue working through design through the winter. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Yep.
Nothing tonight.
James?
Nothing tonight.
Mike?
Just want to share that out at the park, they started digging the footings for the new bathroom up by the shelter, and that's going to be a really nice addition to the park there. That we'll end up probably building ourselves with the help of some volunteers. So just want to say that's going to be a really nice addition to the park up there. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Mike. I have nothing. Tina?
I think that's good.
Good. Good. Good night. Meeting's adjourned.
I was wondering if you're going to let Scott speak.
No.